My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. License plate 8 Mary Queen Frank 684, 7 Frank Paul Henry 065. Pacing, stalking as a population as I'm walking, as you're traveling. This is what they're doing. It's surveillance. This is at B Street in Laurel, P.O.C. It is 5:57 a.m. Going down the alley, staying on the street. These are the demons that are pacing, maintaining methods of light activity. It's barely 6 o'clock in the morning, stopping on the side of the road. They know that they're being documented. These are demons. This is mentally ill behavior. And then you go home like you're a normal person. You're not. They're psychotic. P.O.C. This is what they're doing. They're roaming all the streets. They're like roaches all around, everywhere that I'm walking. They're pacing all around the perimeter, driving by. And remember, they're molesting with light. And engineered light remains. Here's my shadow. Here's another faint shadow right in front of that. Here's another shadow generating, coming to be in front of me. They're stalking. And they're doing this with the government. The government's going to be prosecuted for exacting this against an American citizen, and for the government doing it itself, and facilitating that a population do this. That's sick behavior. And it's not a murder mystery when these demons who are stalking, monitoring with light, commit murders, commit rapes, commit kidnappings. That's not a mystery. And it's also reasonably foreseeable. I'm going to prosecute the government for this. This is P.O.C. Airport. You're going to look at the images I just took. Psychopathic pacing, one plane, 30 seconds later, another plane. And this is another one as I'm capturing this third party whose license plate and a third party establishment. He's gang stalking me while he's getting out of his vehicle, walking into the venue, which is covered in engineer light. This is a gang stalking business. There's the gang stalking business is the guys where the government is maintaining criminal surveillance. It's not a legitimate business. It's not an actual business. It's the federal RICO case. This is at 531 West Holt Boulevard. Pay attention to the light activity. Here's one. There they are on the wall. A little bit. I want to introduce you to the federal RICO case of the people of the state. We're going to be prosecuted for conspiring the murder of an American citizen engaging in criminal surveillance with the U.S. government. And that's what's being documented and prosecuted in Ontario, California. This is impossible light activity while in the small little parking lot. This is psychopathic pacing. With the government, you're looking at what is pacing, not traffic. In the engineer light, you're looking at pacing, not traffic. You're looking at criminal activity, not private citizens. This is the entity. And third party 41467C2 helps himself while the psychopathic pace right over his building. Also, bigger picture, Custom Plastics is going to be federally prosecuted like every other business in Ontario, in California, at 531 West Holt Boulevard. That is stalking in the path, simultaneously pacing, gets out the vehicle, activity creation, goes inside the business. I take a picture while the entity is stalking me while I'm walking down Holt Boulevard, and that's why they're not flying over the Ontario Village Shopping Center side. Okay, we're hovering over this subway like they're taking off. There's no airport over here. There's no airport over here either. They're stalking on the side of the street where I'm at. That's light activity by a demon. That's okay. He's getting prosecuted for conspiracy to murder. And I'm going to prosecute the business that is a gang stalker. This is the entity that's engaged in that. See? And remember, they're flying over the 10 when I'm at the 10 freeway at what is 6th Street and Euclid Avenue, also where there is no airport whatsoever. This is clear prosecution of the government, and the Ontario International Airport is a national security threat. It is engaged in conspiracy to murder, stalking as an airport. That's Alan D. WAPNER, Julia Gu, Jim Bowman. The entity that's engaging in what is stalking, not the maintenance and legitimate operations of airline companies and that airport. And they are doing so with impunity. That airport authority, that airport president of the airport authority, that so-called CEO of the executive board on the Ontario International Airport, they're keeping my evidence under surveillance. They're gang stalking. Okay? And the entity is doing so with the Ontario Police Department. The Ontario International Airport's being shut down. Okay, and that's a part of what is justice regarding prosecuting my co-conspirator, my stalker, which is the Ontario International Airport. And the Ontario International Airport is criminally monitoring with every airline: American Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, UPS, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Frontier Airlines. They're all gang stalking, and the entity is targeting me. I'm located flying over the Stater Brothers parking lot for serial stalkers who are going to prison to stalk in the path with light on that side of the street in that parking lot, where then plane activity is hovering like they're taking off from some airport behind the plaza, and they're not. They're 2900 Airport Road. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:13 a.m. This is a sex offense. License plate 9 Mary Charlie Edward 829. 9 Mary Charlie Edward 829. They're driving in the engineer light. They're all stalking. This is surveillance. And this is the prosecution and the gutting out of the city of Ontario specifically. But this is the prosecution of the U.S. government. This is P.O.C. This is a gang of shadows. Impossible light activity. Impossible. Crossing path. Psychopathic pacing. one after another, stalking while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. And this is where the entity engaged in on video, hovering over Stereo City, while Safeco is the venue, that criminal summoning with the Ontario Police Department, those gang members in this environment on this side of the street where the entity is gang stalking me as I documented criminal summoning. That terrorist is going to federal prison, and those terrorists of the Ontario Police Department, those gang members, they're all going to prison. So-called Sergeant Hall, Johnson, Ponce, they're going to federal prison. This is the gang violence that I was subject to, and they're all with guns on their waists surrounding me. I documented that unlawful threat by the government that is stalking. And the airport is stalking right here, hovering like they're taking off over the Emporia place. This is where you're going to document and you're prosecuting them. They're mentally ill, they're being committed, and they're being federally prosecuted for prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:15 a.m. Let me get you another one. Because this is the entity that's obsessively stalking. They're not thinking about the consequences. This is why they're being committed. Pay attention to the evidence. They're being committed. This is mental instability above and beyond the criminal system. This is ongoing devotion, not just the demon that's stalking in that plane, not just the demons that are associated with the venue, not just the demons that are obsessively stalking here. This is commitment to those that are outside of the U.S., sharing and cooperating in the criminal system underway in California and Ontario. They are maintaining ongoing paid criminal services. And it is psychopathic and delusional to do it on video, to do it on the internet, to do it when the case is already complete. They're being federally prosecuted. This is requiring martial law, and this is incorporating what is necessary, which is mental examinations upon the gang stalking. You're going to be subject to mental examinations. This is P.O.C. This level of ongoing continuation is beyond what is mentally ill behavior. It is a behavioral health concern by the population that are demons stalking until the very end. And it's already the end. That's not ordinary stalking. That's not ordinary criminal activity. They're mentally ill. This is P.O.C. 8 David Edward Mary 860. This is the demon engaging in sexual assault and battery on behalf of that same government that's stalking. You have motion light conduct in the parking lot. Walking through the parking lot and the light's not already on, it gets brighter. This is a psychopath that's engaging in the sex offense. This looks like a fat Caucasian female with glasses on. She's engaging in that sex offense with the government that I'm capturing stalking me in planes. 7 Thomas Henry Victor 585 is stalking with her. This is in furtherance of murder, doing so at third-party facilitating venue DD's discounts, which is also stalking. License plate, again, 8 David Edward Mary 060. This is P.O.C. In operation of her device while she commits sexual assault and battery. This is mental illness, and this is the government that's stalking by planes and helicopters, operating through the people of the state. P.O.C. Alrighty, that is indeed that agency, and the plane activity crosses the street as I cross the street. Alright? There's no question about it, but I just want to go ahead and get it in real time. And I've already shown the stalking conduct. That's why they are stalking over when I'm nearest the 10 freeway between Upland and Ontario, who are sharing the criminal pattern of conduct. Okay, there's no planes from the Ontario International Airport that are going to be hovering over while I'm at the 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue, while I'm at the IHOP at A Street, A as in Apple, in Euclid. This is the entity engaging in surveillance. I've documented the same conduct in Fontana, California. The entity's hovering throughout the city, stalking me in that specific environment, doing so with the people of the state, like this lesbian predator over here, seeking to molest my body while she wants to touch me while she's stalking in the night. She's sitting in front of DD's Discount, who I'm going to prosecute, and I'm going to also prosecute Ontario Village Shopping Center, where the government is stalking, and so is the Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is the P.O.C. This is what the entity's doing at what is 531 West Holt Boulevard, and now you're looking at the psychopathic pacing that's occurring on this side of the street. You saw what's behind it. It's the Safeco car dealership. It is the intersection of Vine Avenue, Vos Church, and, Vineyard and Holt. There's no airport over here. The entity is coming over here and stalking in the path. And this is the clear ongoing admission of the stalking by the Ontario Police Department, the stalking by the OVITT Family Community Library, the stalking by the people of the state, waging false allegations while they are indeed engaged in criminal surveillance. And so is the city of Upland while the entities engage in that. The ongoing concerted conduct of crossing path in that engineered light. This is what they're doing under the fake sun that's remaining over this Ontario Village Shopping Center. But remember, not when I'm at the Upland Public Library, but it's remaining over the Ontario Village Shopping Center. The one sun is remaining from the beginning. Sunrise is what I documented, 6:30 a.m. until after 4:30 p.m. Okay, that's during standard time. Now we're in daylight savings time, and the entity is and that's still impossible. And it's also coexisting with what I'm documenting, remaining outside the windows of a venue in Upland, California, such as the Upland Public Library. This is the airport that is indeed stalking. The people of the state commit sexual violence on behalf of this government, the government that is shutting down the Ontario International Airport as a means of prosecuting to protect the public that's gang stalking with the city of Ontario. Paul Leon's being federally prosecuted, while the city of Ontario is gang stalking as a police department. 8 GEU 127 does so because Paul Leon is a part of the same gang stalking community. He is not a mayor, all right? He's a domestic enemy, and he is engaging in facilitating while the police department, while the fire department are engaging what is federal group stalking and monitoring further into murdering an American citizen, not serving them, not protecting them, but gang stalking them. He's being removed, and he's being federally prosecuted, moreover. The city hall is engaged in targeting, as I've shown, and that office is engaged in targeting in furtherance of repeatedly kidnapping to obstruct justice and targeting me while I document. This is P.O.C. This is well beyond me driving through the city and that city showing the symptoms of gang stalking and removing that terrorist leader from office. This is that terrorist leader, Paul Leon, targeting me specifically and doing so for years, also for money in exchange. While things as absurd, which I documented, an airport stalking me. That's the pattern of conduct. And Paul Leon's being federally prosecuted. It's 6:22 a.m. while the airport crosses the street to stalk over this shopping center where everybody in the shopping center is stalking. Everyone. It's surveillance. This is P.O.C. and this is the mentally ill, and this is calling for what is indeed martial law. On the opposite side of the street, they're doing cartwheels and flying in the opposite direction and continuing west while I document, and they're crossing the street. That's literally the evidence of crossing the street, but everyone that is watching, you know what you're looking at. I don't have to make up anything. This is the evidence of unheard of, demented, deranged, and demonic methods of stalking someone, and that is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, the removal of the Ontario Fire Department, that's Michael GERKEN, Michael LORENZ, the removal of gang stalkers such as American Medical Response, who are engaging in surveillance, not EMT services, with the people of the state, while they keep themselves employed and collect far too much money to engage in vagina monitoring. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:23 a.m. As you can see, 7:38 a.m. It's Wednesday, March 18, 2026. And where I remain is the location where, first of all, the fake sun, this is what I'm documenting. I'm at the precipice of Upland, California yesterday at the same exact time, looking at the 10 freeway, which is not at the Ontario Village Shopping Center along HOLT Boulevard. And neither would the sun be where you see at the top. This is where I'm at the 10 freeway, and the fake sun is moving as I move in the direction north on Euclid Avenue. HOLT Boulevard, where I'm at now, runs east and west, and it's intersecting with San Antonio, where the entity is stalking, and Bonita, where the entity is stalking, and you're looking at stalking license plate. 6YCA400 is crossing paths with the government, where I am documenting ongoing psychopathic pacing of this nature. Engineer light is underneath the covered structure while the fake sun is at the same time remaining over me in Upland. I'm walking in Ontario into Upland. This is what I'm showing you is occurring as I'm doing something totally different in a different location on another day. And this is documenting the pattern of conduct. This is where the government, in concert with the people, are stalking, engaging in surveillance with the customers and the employees of the venue, where the government's engaging in surveillance, crossing path in the sky space in concert with the people of the state who work at the facilitating venue, who are the malicious guys of keeping you under surveillance and stalking. And that's why and how the people of the state are going to be federally prosecuted where they live, where they work, as they travel, wherever it is that they are present, because it's criminal presence and the government maintains no warrant or probable cause to engage in what they thought was sneaky and clever, and it's not. It's demonic, and it's sexually perverted, and it is criminal with regard to federal stalking. This is the entity that's engaging in psychopathic behavior. They're mentally ill. That's what they are. They're engaging in this conduct while the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. The entity is engaged in criminal summoning. That's what you hear in the background. That's the city of Ontario that's sharing in the same violence as the Upland Police Department. The mentally ill behavior of demons that are engaging in that pattern of conduct while they are engaging in the P.O.C. This is the entity that is indeed engaged in what is gang violence. Okay? The terrorist leader, Mike LORENZ, is being removed from position. Okay? That's the city of Ontario engaged in what is criminal summoning. That is the ongoing criminal facilitation of this surveillance system. And this is where the people of the state are indeed stalking. Stalking with the government that engages in the criminal misuse and abuse of sirens, which is audible activity in the engineer light. And what it is that you're looking at, it is a mentally ill behavior, psychopathic pacing in an environment that is maintained in a supernatural manner. A fake sun that's not at the same time over the 10 freeway. What's going on at the 10 freeway when I show you that fake sun over me? Psychopathic pacing, monitoring by demons, okay? And that's why I give you this vivid illustration of the fake sun that you already know was remaining here from sunrise until sunset, while I'm documenting these cockroaches that are vagina monitors in the bathroom while they're keeping you under surveillance in there and then trying to break in as though they don't know. That's that psychopath that has a slant regarding sexual violence, and they're going to be committed. While the entity continuously engages in that conduct, they're doing so on behalf of the government. That is going to be committed. All right, this is the P.O.C. I want you to remember what it is that I'm documenting. This is 1544 North Euclid Avenue, and you're understanding this is the brick wall where impossible light activity, as impossible as right now. The impossibility is based on the fact that third-party 8TJH234 is creating impossible light activity while they're stalking under the fake sun. 7 Apple Larry Sammy 079, they do so as an entity. This is where the entity was stalking by helicopter, stalking with light in PA, Eastville, California. That impossible light moving across, this is what they're doing at nightfall when the shadows of their vehicles are caused by the headlights of the demons exiting off the 10 freeway. That's and it's appearing behind me. And my shadow, multiple shadows are skating across this wall. That's impossible light at nightfall. This is impossible light during. Alrighty, and in this environment is where, as you see, UPS is a domestic terrorist. They committed kidnapping in Kentucky. Excuse me, they committed murder in Kentucky. This is the circumstance you already remember at 10 in the morning. 10:31 to be exact. I'm standing at the same location, and who's flying in circles? That's psychopathic pacing in a supernatural environment. That's the Ontario Police that's on video engaging in that. The same demons that are sounding sirens while this fake sun is here. While ongoing psychopathic pacing, which is what's happening on Euclid Avenue at the same time where UPS is providing evidence as to why and how and who is going to be federally prosecuted, and the Ontario International Airport is being shut down. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is what the entity is doing while I am maintaining evidence. This ongoing impunity, this is terrorism that the United States government is committing against an American citizen before the rest of the world. This is also why the federal government is going to have such a strong staunch against terrorism, which is un-American. And this is what you're going to witness while terrorists are companies in the United States. Terrorists are community members, the civilian population. Terrorists are departments, the government itself. And this is how the entity is engaging what is domestic terrorism in the United States. This is terrorism that an American citizen is capturing, and just like any other foreign terrorist, any other foreign threat, the domestic terrorists who are showing you who they are, the Ontario International Airport, the City of Ontario, companies like UPS, they're going to be dealt with like the enemies that they are under the state and federal constitutions, because that's what you're witnessing. This is impunity, and federal law is going to address that. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:44 a.m. This is relevant to everything that I documented after this video in Upland yesterday. I went to the Upland Public Library. That's where the fake sun remained. There is no sunlight. In other words, this is not the sun that, first of all, you already know would remain here. I've already documented it's still here after 4 in the afternoon. That fake sun is right here in the sky space. After Hernandez is stalking me at the parking lot of the Superior Grocer, I believe that was 815 North Euclid Avenue, West Holt Boulevard. But this is on the opposite side of this El Pollo Loco, the same block. The fake sun is still over me at 2 in the afternoon, 2:09 to be exact. And then the Ontario Police in that same parking lot, stalking, flying in circles. And I go to a different city and I'm showing you the fake sun that's over me at the Upland Public Library, and so on and so forth. This is the prosecution of the U.S. government. This government has engaged in what is stealing my identity, gang stalking me through the people of the state who know who I am. They are targeting, and that knowledge is proven through the supernatural environment. And it is scientifically relevant, evidence that will not be disregarded in federal court. It is applied with regard to making sure that you are protecting American citizens from what is an unjust result regarding what is very clear, albeit demonic, criminal activity by the government, which is getting to malice. That's what it's getting to. When the government's practicing witchcraft, the government's engaging in Satanism, that's the government that's doing so, seeking to defame someone that can't otherwise prove it. And that's why terrorist leaders like Mike Lorenz, kidnappers like, for example, L. Edwards, Craig Hazelwood, and on the laundry list, everyone that I'm documenting engaging in criminal stalking while you're a police officer, they're going to prison. Stalking in this manner, they're going to be federally prosecuted, they're being committed. And you're analyzing what they're saying as I document them, their disposition, the authority that they are assuming because they are convinced that they're getting away with it. And they are also delusional in that if they continue with that ongoing role as though everything that is being documented doesn't matter and that it is still a figment of someone's imagination and you're just crazy regardless of the facts that are already established, that is the evidence of mental illness. They're going to be committed with this very evidence. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, and this is the unfortunate reality of documenting terrorism in my own country, in the United States of America. But this is for the information of those even outside of this country. And this is speaking to the implosion. I am not happy to, but this is the implosion of the U.S. It's attacking itself, and this is not new. It's just being exposed now, and I'm enforcing my rights. But this country has destroyed itself. It's sacrificed itself. And you're looking at what is mental illness while the demon-possessed, this is the Nephilim. That's what's sitting in positions of authority. That is what has sacrificed this country. The demons themselves. And there's a consequence for it. All right, this is P.O.C. Criminal summoning while you're crossing path. License 8TVY459, and this is why Mike LORENZ is being disbanded. Criminal facilitation of a stalker. This is not a man. He's stalking a woman. And conspiring murder. Remember, this isn't just gang stalking. They're being federally prosecuted as terrorists. And this is how a police department is engaging in what is stalking you. Vicariously, and then they cross paths in the sky space with their helicopters, which you know under a fake sun is still here 4 hours later. Those are the mentally ill that are unfit to be in law enforcement, sitting out in the background sounding sirens while they're monitoring my vagina. They're not police officers. It's not law enforcement, they're stalkers, and this is the prosecution of the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. And this entity that I'm documenting, every single last one of them being prosecuted for every defamatory syllable uttered, every act of violence, every act of assault like what I'm documenting, all acts of harassment. The entity is acting together. They're holding hands in that criminal system, and the population is going to be prosecuted, including while the mentally ill are stalking in the role of the government. The people of the state are being federally prosecuted for it. This is P.O.C. It is currently under the fake sun that's in Upland, California, where you see my shadow right here. This is not at the bridge at the 10 freeway in Upland. It's over me, which is speaking to capturing that impossibility. That impossibility is where the crime scene is identified. Ontario International Airport is at 2500 and 2900 Airport Road. They're stalking, just like they are stalking me at that 10 freeway. That's Euclid Avenue and 6th Street. At 1544 North Euclid Avenue, in other words. This is stalking by an airport, stalking by the city. This is P.O.C. All right, this is aerial surveillance, Southwest Airlines. The city of Ontario, and that's the city of Ontario. License 7PGK355, pacing, mentally ill behavior. License 9KCP166, mentally ill behavior. And this is the city of Ontario. This is surveillance. This is the prosecution of Paul Leon. I'm gonna prosecute him. You want to engage in conspiring my murder? You want to engage in facilitating it amongst the city? You want to engage in funding it, providing resources to do so? I'm going to federally prosecute you, sir, for keeping my vagina under surveillance and for being a closeted psychopath who is a fake pastor, okay? And that is relevant with regard to the fact that you are a charlatan, the fact that you are a predator, you're a domestic enemy sitting in the position as one that is unfit to be a mayor. This is the city of Ontario with, the authority that you are sitting in, the position that you're sitting in. This is all happening on your watch. You're fully aware of it, and you will be held accountable. You are reasonably accountable for it. This is surveillance. It's terrorism, while the entity is symbolically threatening. Recall the documentation of all of the acts of terrorism that Ryder is engaging in. Stalking me with impossible light at Alvarado Gardens with the LAPD. Doing so while I'm documenting the pattern of conduct. Doing so with the Ontario Police Department. Having these demons sitting here with impossible light while the people of the state are pacing because they're disturbed by the evidence that's on the internet, which does not remove it. I'm gonna prosecute Ryder. I'm gonna prosecute this ghetto business, Blue Rhino. I'm gonna prosecute based on the way in which the entity is utilizing logos to engage in surveillance, which is terrorism. This is P.O.C. This is ongoing conspicuous surveillance while the city of Ontario is filling the sky space. You see this? This is a threat, and I'm gonna prosecute it. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, while the fake sun's remaining in Upland, it's 8:38 a.m. That's getting to the intent behind what the people of the state and the city of Ontario are doing together, which is stalking. Stalking. License plate. Crossing path. License 28935K3. It says the word Christian, it doesn't mean anything. A Christian isn't a demon-possessed person stalking with impossible light. The supernatural is getting to the intent behind using that vehicle and engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct. This is the P.O.C. This is what the government does. They kidnap you, they defame you, they steal from you, they batter and assault you, they threaten when you document. And this is what the entity is doing by aerial surveillance and the people of the state. This is what this is as I walk out and the entities engage in this. And they are all monitoring my vagina together as well. Okay, this so-called Christian, Salem, not a Christian, okay? Has nothing to do with being a Christian. Satan uses those terms all the time. The fake son is in Upland, California. Follow my documentation when I go to Upland Public Library yesterday. And I remain there. I'm going to the 7-Eleven where ongoing terrorism is underway. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is relevant to the prosecution of Paul Leon. And as I prosecute Paul Leon, this is the prosecution of every corrupt department in Ontario, the police, the fire, AMR, the municipality that's gang stalking. This is Crossing Path by the gang stalking Securitas. Doing so with the people of the state on the roads and the highways. Driving in the engineer light. I've done historically the fake sun here after 6 p.m. and the city of Ontario stalking my helicopter. This is provided by courtesy of the gang stalking mayor. This is engineer light. Impossible light activity is just manifesting in the shade. This is a demon. This is the light activity under the fake sun. Yesterday, I'm remaining in Upland, California. I'm at the Upland Public Library. Okay? And the demon possessed with cursed wombs are surrounding around the entrance of the Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue. That is not this. And it stays there until entrance at 10, and it stays there after 10. I'm documenting it well into the afternoon of that fake sun. This is the evidence prosecuting a terrorist leader masquerading as a mayor, 7SHL076, and then gang stalking pattern by Securitas. Those that are engaged in criminal summoning, engaging in kidnapping, engaging in what is harassment. They're engaged in federal stalking with the city of Ontario. All of this is relevant to prosecuting Paul Leon, who was threatening my life and conspiring my murder, funding terrorism, and providing resources to the entity to engage in it. This is the P.O.C. So I just want you to see from this vantage point, this is light that's just manifesting out of nowhere in the shade. And this is not the sun. As you isolate it to just Ontario at the same location, but also as you see what's going on in Upland, and then what you see what the city of Ontario is engaging in. And it's demonic, and it's also criminal. Okay, they pull out their vehicles, they pull out their lights, they pull out some cones. All right, that's all they're doing. The entity wastes a lot of money on criminal surveillance, okay? And that's to appear legitimate because they're doing something, because they're spending money. Paul Leon's being federally prosecuted as a terrorist leader, engaged in the conspiracy to commit murder. This is P.O.C. and Paul Leon's a demon. Know that as well. He's a demon. This is engineer light manifesting in the shade. Under the fake sun at what is C Street in Euclid, okay, where the entity's abandoned OVITT Family Community Library, and it's remaining over me in Upland, California now. And that's a prosecution regarding this entity that's under a fake sun, making false allegations upon what is the intent to obstruct justice, gang stalking with serial stalkers like ISH4X4, engaging in that pattern of conduct while they're keeping the evidence under surveillance, and that's not helping you. That's going to put you away longer. You're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:07 a.m. where the entity is gang stalking on the roads and the highways. That's why the fake sun advances over me and leaves the demons there that are maintaining surveillance around the perimeter. Stalking with light is mentally ill behavior. They will be committed and put in prison. 98MK876, that's no ordinary stalker. That is the state as well. P.O.C. It's impossible light activity that's on the sidewalk. And what the big picture is, as I give you bits and pieces to help you understand, this is all impossible light activity because this is not the sun. In Upland, California, at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, the entity is maintaining a light source. That's why you're looking at a light source over you in Florida, in New York, in Massachusetts, in Texas, in Nevada, because this is the illusion. And this is engineer light that covers over everything, and it is impossible light activity. It is not the natural environment. But I give it to you in pieces to help you understand the impossibility regarding, as you see me prosecute from city to city, which is the prosecution of the state. As I also prosecute from state to state, it is the prosecution of the U.S. government. As you see me go from place to place and that ongoing environment follows, that's the prosecution of an entity that is indeed stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:09 a.m. P.O.C. This is the entity stalking by helicopter. You see that dipping down behind? You already know this when you're looking at the entity stalking by helicopter. They're not slick, they're not intelligent either, okay? They are doing so under a fake sun that's remaining over me as I'm prosecuting the city of Ontario, as I show you the stalker that is the city of Upland and vice versa. This is always the pattern of conduct because the entity has been maintaining the fake sun over me in Los Angeles, which is already on the record while I'm prosecuting the city of Ontario. That's what is stalking in the path while the people of the state maintain activity. Stalking under the fake sun, which is what the city of Ontario is doing with the light activity under a fake sun. This is what the entity is doing with the airport, with Ryder, with Blue Rhino, with Stater Brothers, while the entity is stalking, following me around and using helicopters, the most expensive, whereby the entity is engaging in surveillance. And this is a population of the mentally ill. This is the Nephilim. These are vagina monitors. These are the light-slinging gargoyles. These are the psychopaths that are sex offenders and pedophiles that don't like monitoring me under a fake sun. These are the demon waters murdering each other. They're on the news. And they engage in what is criminal acts when they're supposedly a happy family. It's the Nephilim that are gang stalking, okay? Engage in what is hugging and engineer light is activity creation, and it's actually nauseating, it's pathetic, while they're engaged in what is stalking with the Ontario Police Department, and such psychopathic conduct is exactly what's going to be used against them regarding the malice of the entity that is under the facts gang stalking under a fake sun that you know is still here after 4 p.m. Those are the demons that are fake in every regard, okay? This is the P.O.C. I already documented their license plates as well. This is the entity that's keeping the fake sun over the Upland Public Library. All those demons with those cursed wombs, with all those minor children, they're activity creators. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. Those demons that you hear last night calling my name, asking if I'm okay, knowing who I am when I'm behind a whole solid brick wall and you can't even see me. The same location, by the way, the side where the fake moon, the side of this library where this fake sun is still here after 5 p.m. The side of this library where that entity is historically stalking me by helicopter and committing kidnapping as an entity. This is the body of evidence that you're looking at that's on the internet right now, and Mike LORENZ is still stalking. He's mentally unstable, so is Paul Leon. These are demons that are no longer cloaked. They are no longer concealed. They are no longer secretly targeting an American citizen, and they targeted the one that is here to prosecute. And prosecute I shall. That includes the people of the state. It is currently 9:13 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over Upland Public Library, just to give you an immediate example. This is impunity because they're still stalking 8VDJ 811. And you're going to prosecute like any other foreign terrorist, okay? This is the entity that is in your face, stalking you conspicuously, threatening your life, and doing so while you're capturing the video. Are you kidding me? They're going to be prosecuted for that. DN87M75. They're mentally ill. This is pacing under a fake sun with engineer light. These are the same predators, 7SQJ111, who are stalking in bathroom stalls, and don't you ever forget it. This is the entity that's engaging in that level of criminal and sexually perverted and psychotic behaviors designed to surveil you. They're surveilling your children's genitalia. They're in your homes, keeping you under surveillance. They are stalking you everywhere and at all times. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:14 a.m. where the entity has the fake sun, as you know, well into the afternoon. This is what was so fantastic about the evidence in Upland, California, where the entity has the fake sun over me at what is 2:09 p.m. at the Upland Public Library. So what is Jay Hernandez standing under while he is stalking me on the same Holt Boulevard in the middle of the afternoon? The same city where the fake sun is remaining over the same person, by the way. This is the P.O.C. This is the prosecution of the mentally ill that did not learn to sit down sooner than later. That's the prosecution of what is the demon-possessed Satan, who already knows that he's going straight to hell. Does that make Satan a winner? Absolutely not. Satan already knows that he lost. But Satan persists, and as that ongoing psychotic character disorder resides in people, this is requiring martial law, and it's requiring commitments, it's requiring federal prison. P.O.C. This is the city of Ontario while I'm uploading the podcast.
Hello.
Giving me undue attention. Can I help you?
No, just saying hi.
Oh, he's waving and he's in engineer light. Paying attention to me is what you're paying attention to, and you know that he's focused on me because that's the fake sun that's in Upland, California. This is engineer light that's on the side of the vehicle, and this is the funding of terrorism and psychological torture, vagina monitoring inside of the library. These are the terrorists stalking with impossible light that I've captured on video inside of that venue, and they're stalking under a fake sun that's still here while I'm at the city hall. Remember what I captured in the middle of the afternoon? This is that illusion. And Paul Leon is funding terrorism. They're using the vehicles, they're using the venues, they're engaging in what is criminal monitoring, federal stalking, and he is stopping and saying hi to me. I've never seen this demon before, never spoke to him rather, and they're paying attention to me because they want to seem casual while they're saying hi and gang stalking. It's undue attention under all circumstances, and it's all undue attention under a fake sun, okay? This is P.O.C. Don't forget, the fake sun is right here. as I've documented as late as 6 p.m., the same OVITT Family Community Library entrance with helicopter activity, the entity maintaining the fake sun into the middle of the afternoon when I'm inside and I'm showing you the fake sun that's aimed perfectly through these windows at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is that illusion. This is where it is right here over me. This is P.O.C. and this is Ontario, not Upland. Okay, so what's everybody standing under at Upland Library? It's the P.O.C. They're standing in the evidence to prosecute them. Okay, it is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 9:36 a.m. and the entity's engaging in this while I'm publishing the podcast. So I will add this video evidence regarding Title 18 with the intent to obstruct justice, harassment, and ongoing terrorism while they monitor the evidence, which is the purpose of the document, which is a written admission by this entity, making false, malicious allegations while I'm publishing the evidence about them engaging in what is kidnapping, amongst other things, unlawful, discriminatory, and obstructive means of justice, while I'm documenting the gang stalking libraries like Chino Branch, Fontana Lewis, and Ontario that engaged in kidnapping on June 16, 2022. This is P.O.C. All right, just want you to see the ongoing criminal cooperation of what our companies are going to prosecute under federal RICO. But this is surveillance by the state. Look at them engaging in the... I'm capturing UPS, Southwest, the gang stalking airlines flying on an ongoing psychopathic pacing over this same location. The video is showing the fake sun, the city of Ontario that wants to be friendly and say hi because they think that that deflects away from engaging in what is the federal group stalking and monitoring furtherance of murder. It does not. It's audible activity, and it's also speaking to knowledge. The malice of the entity is the same conduct you're going to use to commit them while you're going to federally prosecute. Costco stalking with light in the path, just like City of Ontario is when I'm sitting here 2 hours earlier. That was at 9:35 in the morning. It's 11:36 a.m. It's 2 hours later. And the same City of Ontario is engaging in what is stalking in the path, while the fake sun is not over any Upland public library. It's not in the city of Upland. When you are comparing the illusion where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway compared to the natural environment where the entity gang stalks you in order to criminally defame your character and furtherance of murder and kidnapping you, the city of Ontario is going to be federally prosecuted. Paul Leon is the terrorist leader that's going to be held responsible for the gang stalking municipality, the gang stalking police department, the gang stalking fire department, the gang stalking airport, the gang stalking EMTs, stalking in ambulances. This is where the entity's keeping this fake sun, and you'll see in the images it follows me to Chevron at Euclid and E Street, and then back here where it's over me in this same location where the demon is stalking with light and saying hi. When I'm not talking to him, I don't know him, and I'm pointing my camera upward. You get in front of my camera, that's the entity that's engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. That's Satan that thinks he could say hi with a smile, and that's supposed to disprove what you already know is a fact. That's the tactic behind that, though. They're going to be federally prosecuted for this. This is the Ontario City. Remember, the fake sun is over me at the Ontario City Hall at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the same. This is shattering that illusion. This entity engaged in malicious assertions upon what is federal group stalking and monitoring because I am dragging them on the internet, which is my courtroom, necessary in order to prosecute a corrupt government that conspires to kill you. Because who is going to believe that? And because of the malicious criminal system by the government, prison is the only answer. It is justice. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:37 a.m. The city of Ontario is serving to prosecute the terrorist leader Paul Leon while the demons follow me obsessively. P.O.C. Molesting me with impossible light. City of Ontario, sex offender, license 1678097. This is the video that you're going to compare with when they are parked out here and I'm inside of the library, and the fake sun is the implausible and asinine. I guess that's supposed to be some sort of explanation. Subconsciously, it's not. For the engineer light that's piercing through the library, that's what they just touch my breast with, touch my face with, underneath the structure targeting me. This is what the entity's doing under the fake sun. Right here. This is how you know that nobody's making it up, because that's not the sun. City of Ontario, Paul Leon is engaging in sexual violence, psychological torture, harassment, and terrorism while stalking me in furtherance of murder, monitoring me because I'm documenting him, and he knows it. And that is the mayor. When the municipality is stalking, the mayor is a terrorist leader. This is P.O.C. He's being removed from office, but he's not just leaving that office. He's being federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:52 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is exactly what you saw Costco doing, stalking with light while the Ontario International Airport are stalking in the sky space. Securitas is maintaining the same position and alignment under the remaining fake sun in concert with the demons. This is where City of Ontario was on this side. This is the same City of Ontario. It's through the corrupt contract with American Medical Response, who's engaged in stalking. This is surveillance, and this is the prosecution of Paul Leon. Michael GERKEN is being removed. The fire department's engaged in surveillance. AMR is engaged in surveillance, just like you see in Upland, California, where the fake son's remaining, and that's how AMR is going to be prosecuted and removed from position, conspiring the murder of an American citizen, gang stalking them. As I show you the fake son, where they're gang stalking, engaging criminal summoning in Upland, and they're gang stalking, engaging criminal summoning in Ontario, California. Where they're engaging in this, and I'm crossing paths with the same venue where the son is present at 10, and that's the significance of these vagina monitors that stare at their devices while they create activity, monitoring with the government. This is relevant to the 45 minutes that have been added to the podcast. I just updated it. And as I do, this is surveillance by the fire department that comes in the path. You're looking at Impulse that's underneath the side of the OVITT Family Community Library. Remember, the fake son is on this side of the building. Remember, it's aiming on my face after 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. This is the fake son, and that's the city of Ontario, just like you saw at State of Rider Wing. All right, the entities engaged in what is maintaining presence in the path, light activity, sirens by the city of Ontario, AMR, license 25222 Thomas 3. And this is in what is Ontario, California. And you have the demons that center their attention around a gurney while they're gang stalking, and it's the same elements, license 1332569. This is Michael GERKEN, who's being removed from position. This is what A. Casada and the Ontario Police and the Ontario Fire Department did at 12:14 p.m. under this fake sun. This is what the entity is doing while the fake sun remains. And who's on the gurney? The demons themselves that are gang stalking, okay? This is the P.O.C. This is speaking to what is malice. Where is the fake sun when I am in Upland, California, and it's aiming through the windows while you look at this gurney? These are demons that engage in what is a very highly malicious and psychopathic pattern of conduct. He's standing in the end. He's supposed to be providing rescue services. These are the demons that engage in criminal defamation. These are the demons that commit kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department. These are the demons that are stalking with sirens. They're demon possessed. They're engaged in that same exact specific environment. And what they're actually monitoring is the podcast that was just updated. This is P.O.C. Because the fake son remains here, they're pacing with the people of the state. They're pacing. This is mental illness. This is what they're doing at Woodside Senior Apartments. Don't forget about that evidence, where the fake sun remains planted over that Woodside Senior Apartments complex. The entity's doing that with Amazon Prime. The entity's engaged in what is keeping this fake sun while I'm remaining in what is the Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue. That's why I'm capturing in the windows. This is getting to what is prosecuting the government that hides behind logos, uniforms. They wear guns on their hips. Those demons are going to prison. Okay? They commit kidnapping with those demons that wear guns on their hips. They're going to federal prison. Michael GERKEN is engaged in terrorism. The entity that's engaging in what is this pattern of conduct, this is terrorism and psychological torture while they engage in vagina monitoring. Okay, these are the cockroaches that just put uniforms on and then they're pacing all the same. And this is the same entity that's doing so. On June 16, 2022, I want you to look at that. At 10:29 a.m., Corey Walton, Hadel Shiapani, R. Nunn, all the gang members of the Ontario Police are under the same fake sun that you see here. And it is currently 1:06 p.m. This is that entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. That's criminal summoning, and that's what this is. And this demon in particular is on video gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments. He is going to prison. This is P.O.C. This is a pattern of AMR targeting. And I think that it's entertaining, and so will the federal judge. He smiles when he's hearing about the fact that he's being prosecuted for terrorism, and he's engaged in that P.O.C. You'll see the fake sun. You'll see psychopathic pacing. You'll see the same uniforms that are supposed to disguise terrorists, and they're engaged in that pattern of conduct while they're targeting me. And because the entity engages in this, that is what is mandating federal prison. It is all serving to remove the demon at what is the City of Ontario headquarters, Paul Leon. This is P.O.C. All of this over my vagina, all of this over my podcast, all of this over what it is that I do while they're engaging in what is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. Okay? They're the ones engaging in what is the abuse of the Welfare and Institutions Code that they have no authority under. They do it through the gang stalking kidnappers and murderers of the Ontario Police, and they think that you don't see them because they wear those uniforms, and they will be stripped of those uniforms and put in prison, and I dare you to laugh about it when it happens. This is P.O.C. This is the fake sun at 1:07 p.m. You can see the time is relevant and my location. It's 1:41 p.m. It's still Wednesday, March 18, 2022. And this is the location where you are seeing the people of the state. And with the City of Ontario, these are demons that work for the municipality. They're creating light activity while they're walking in that which is engineered light. It is literally impossible that it is there. They're walking under a structure. This is not sunlight. The direction of their shadow is speaking to the trajectory of light. They're doing so at what is 1:25 p.m. The entity has this fake sun over me in the morning, which is what I'm documenting. So let's look at that together as well, where the same City of Ontario is gang stalking on the side of the same OVITT Family Community Library. This is the pattern pattern of conduct. This is captured at 9:32 a.m. where I'm seated on the side, and this is the fake sun. This is where they're walking right here, where I'm taking that picture. They're walking into those doors, and this is where the fake sun is still over me at 9:32 a.m. It is currently where the Ontario International Airport is stalking. I'm taking picture after picture after picture, and there's no airport over here. And this is speaking to the prosecution of the mentally ill domestic enemy, the demon himself, Paul Leon. This is the office that's represented, where the venue itself of the city hall is engaged in the pattern of conduct. It's a facilitating venue, and the airport is flying over it, stalking. As the Ontario Police Department are flying over it, stalking me, doing so, and so is the Ontario City Hall. Any venue is engaging in that pattern of conduct where the fake sun is shown to be targeting. And that's what you have when the fake sun is here at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. It is currently 1:42 p.m. This is the target. This is not in Florida. This is not over the Upland Public Library. This is not over Woodside Senior Apartments. This is not on the opposite side of the street of the 303 North Euclid Avenue, where City of Ontario was gang stalking. And that's the point of this video. This is the prosecution of the entity that is monitoring. That's the significance of what's happening in this environment, which is legally relevant, and it's also significant regarding science. This is mental illness. The entity that is monitoring are demon possessed, and they're psychopaths. These are closeted psychopaths that engage in monitoring your genitalia, stalking you as a population, while they maintain an environment all around you conducive to that. And that's the significance of what you're seeing now at what is 1:43 p.m. That drill is audible activity by demons that are monitoring, license 1476525. And this is relevant to the video documentation captured, which is, bear with me, I'm going to go through my menu and just keep it rolling while you're looking at the real-time evidence captured. This is captured right across the street at 9:05 a.m. This is the same City of Ontario that is indeed gang stalking and doing so in furtherance of murder. This is the entity that's engaging in what is monitoring the evidence while still engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is what I documented this morning. This is relevant to the prosecution of Paul Leon. And as I prosecute Paul Leon, this is the prosecution of every corrupt department in Ontario, the police, the fire, AMR, the municipality that's gang stalking. I just want you to see that because this is where I'm located at 1:44 p.m. And City of Ontario, what is light activity creation, stalking in the path, keeping me under surveillance, stalking as an entity, and they're facilitating what you see driving, what I documenting flying in the sky space, what you're looking at surveillance right here with the demon-possessed Jehovah's Witnesses. That's not exaggeration. That's literally what they are. They're demons that conform to the false religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. They're engaged in criminal activity. They're doing so under the fake that's still over me, and where I'm located at 9:05 a.m. is right here across the street. This is Euclid Avenue. So I just want to go ahead and show you as well so you can see. All right, this is the location where I am at, encountering gang stalkers of the City of Ontario, the municipality. And this is where I'm located, literally on the sidewalk. That is this video right here at after 3 p.m. Excuse me, at 9:05 a.m. where I'm capturing this environment right here, where the entity is indeed stalking. Is relevant to the prosecution of Paul Leon. And as I prosecute Paul Leon, this is the prosecution of every corrupt department in Ontario, the police, the fire, AMR, the municipality that's gang stalking. This is crossing path by the gang stalker Securitas, doing so with the people of the state on the roads and the highway. What you're paying attention to is that Securitas is in gang stalking. This is the prosecution of this company that's been routinely engaged in kidnapping with the City of Ontario. I will be federally prosecuting them. They're engaged in what is ongoing harassment, vagina monitoring, psychopathic conduct such as stalking with light. They're doing so with the government that's providing a series of body of evidence to prosecute that company and to prosecute every demon employed by that third-party company. This is what you're paying attention to. Highways, driving in the engineer light. I've done historically the fake sun here after 6 p.m. and the city. Okay, this is 9:05 a.m. This is where the Ontario International Airport, City of Ontario, Paul Leon being prosecuted. This is 1:46 p.m. This is the same City of Ontario, and I am located here where you're looking at. I am steps away from the same address, 303 North Euclid Avenue. Okay, this is where that video is occurring at 9:05 a.m. I crossed the street. I'm still on C Street. I document Wells Fargo, that is gang stalking. And this is where I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, specifically, I'm right here at the side. And this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's right here across the street. So let's just get a real-time estimation about what you're talking about as far as distance.
because there is no distance. I'm in the same location. Okay, and this is giving you, it's a 2-minute walk, 0.3 miles, and that's walking all the way around. This is the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct that's across the street. Okay, this is P.O.C. I'm literally walking across the street. This is where the municipality is gang stalking, where Securitas is gang stalking, and they're doing so while they're keeping my evidence under surveillance. This is all informing what Sean Thrasher, what C. Gerber, the malice of everything that they said, the way that they're conducting themselves, the way that they're talking to me, what they're presenting to me, having a gun on your waist, making false allegations, giving me a piece of paper, acting as though it's some official process. It's entirely corrupt and fraudulent, while you are gang stalking at the same time. Doing so while you're using the faculties of the facilities, the venue itself is City of Ontario, the vehicles themselves is City of Ontario, and these are demons that are stalking in the path at the same location. The sun has not moved, and it has not moved from being over me. This is pacing. This is mentally ill behavior, and I'm going to prosecute Securitas for psychologically torturing me, harassing me, keeping me under surveillance, sexually violating me, and keeping me under surveillance, and also kidnapping me with this department, the City of Ontario. Okay, this is P.O.C. Sean Thrasher is going to prison. Okay, I want you to see this fake sun that remains over me as I walk back toward the same direction where I was at 9:05 a.m., where the City of Ontario is engaging in a sex offense, molesting me with impossible light, where they know where I'm sitting, just like the Ontario police demonstrate last night, molesting me with impossible light, calling out my name when I'm behind a solid fixture, and you should not, but for targeting me, know exactly who I am. And even if you do know who I am, why are you calling me out, asking me how I'm doing, and not asking everyone else? This is just relevant context. Under all circumstances, they're stalking in the engineered light, under a fake sun, under a fake moon, stalking traditionally with regard to a public nuisance by helicopters, and using those vehicles and making false allegations. They're being prosecuted under all circumstances. But this is, I want you to see, the P.O.C. This is the prosecution, the historic one, which is prosecuting a mayor who is an exposed domestic terrorist, weaponizing the city, the municipality itself, to keep me under surveillance and threaten me. That's what you see AMR, the Ontario Fire Department, the City of Ontario, these gang stalking companies such as Costco, and Securitas, sharing in that pattern of conduct. They're mentally ill. These are the demons. These are the Nephilim. And this is a failed sacrifice. I'm going to prosecute because they were not able to sacrifice me, and they are demons. This is P.O.C. Paul Leon's being removed from office. P.O.C. It's currently 1:49 p.m. at the same address, where, don't forget about what C. Gerber's doing on March 3rd. Talking about what happened on March 2nd. Nothing happened in the bathroom on March 2nd other than them monitoring my vagina. And they're keeping my evidence under surveillance. They're going to prison. Okay? This is no ordinary discrimination. They're going to prison. And they're engaging in what is enabling a population to keep me under surveillance. That's unprecedented terrorism. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, guess what we have here? Two aspects of City of Ontario that's being shut down. This is the fire department. That's a demon. This is the fake sun. That's how you know that that's a demon. And that's a demon also. Right? This is all manner of, which is the removal of Paul Leon. That's an activity on the ground right there. That's not sunlight. That's impossible light activity dragging behind. These are demons. These are cockroaches. These are gargoyles. Prosecutes them, the entity that engages in this tactic very often, under the misguided concept that you're misdirecting attention, you're redirecting attention away from vagina monitors, Stater Brothers, where Salvador is gang stalking me with the cursed womb that likes to follow me around in the grocery store. Oh, is this a coincidence? This is not. That's not a coincidence at all. She's going to prison. This is the cursed womb. Okay? I'm not clairvoyant. They're stalking. She's under the fake sun at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, where the entity's engaging what is ambushing me at 8 o'clock in the morning, where this entity is engaged in the same conduct, stalking me in perfect alignment with the exit right here that has activity inside. And you're complaining to Stater Brothers that I'm recording you when you're monitoring my device? This is the entity that's gang stalking with the fire department. These are the demons that are entertained. That's because they're psychopaths. And this is an entity. It's not just this cursed womb. She is an entity. They are all equally mentally ill. And she is serving to prosecute again Stater Brothers. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The sun is over me, rising at 6 a.m. The Ontario Fire Department is stalking me. The Ontario International Airport is stalking me. The people of the state are stalking me. All right, doing so while they're also cursed wombs, closeted homosexuals who are all equally predators, engaging the P.O.C. when they know Woodside Senior Apartments is referenced. That's the demon at Woodside Senior Apartments. She is going to prison. She's engaged in kidnapping on May 29, 2025. She's still gang stalking. This is that pattern of conduct. This is where all those dots come together. This is the purpose of documenting Satan, who is not, after all, a magician. He used a whole bunch of impotent, inferior demons with there's no sun remaining in the window of any Omnitrans bus. Not at all. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The documentation regarding the entity gang stalking me and breaking in the bathroom with engineer light inside of that grocery store while the entity is stalking me with impossible light activity. The years of the entity stalking as an airport. They are doing so based on my location in this parking lot. That's why they're not flying over the parking lot proper. They're flying closer to the sidewalk, stalking me. And that was a combination. This chaotic ongoing environment, a fire department, a demon-possessed people, an airport. This is the removal of terrorist leaders such as Paulion. Those in those positions are not remaining in them. And when you engage in the size of terrorism as Paulion has, you shall be federally prosecuted like any other foreign terrorist. This is P.O.C. It is 2:42 p.m. where the Ontario Fire Department and the people of the state are always, under all circumstances, aiding in their own demise. They're serving for the prosecution of the terrorist leader. His name is Paulion. This is P.O.C. It is 2:42 p.m. This is P.O.C. 9EJM010, molesting with impossible light activity. This is speaking to targeting. The P.O.C. And this is what Ontario police engaged in last week. That was Hernandez. 9EJM010, who pulls over the people of the state to engage in criminal summoning. All right, they're engaged in psychopathic pacing under what is the fake sun, and they're doing it while they know who I am, where I'm located, and that knowledge is proven through the ongoing documentation of stalking, that is targeting, in the specific environment as I have termed it. They're engaged in what is going to be prosecuted as a sex offense and psychologically torturous harassment while the entity is monitoring you and stalking you with light, which is occurring in this environment. License 9PKA494, 9SRZ227, and the entity is engaged in this amongst all races, all ages, and all places. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in what is that perpetual sex offense, and they're doing it as an entity. So these are psychopaths indeed, and violent sex offenders that derive pleasure from stalking you with light, harassing you, and terrorizing you. They're doing that while they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, while they are doing so under the fake sun. Union Pacific is doing the same exact thing in the morning on the same street at the Stater Brothers. Union Pacific is going to be federally prosecuted. It's a terrorist. This is P.O.C. It is currently 4:17 p.m. Hey, what? What's wrong with your car? Well, actually, I'm not necessarily taking pictures of your car, but do you have some privacy invested in it?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
That wasn't just asking. That's asking while the Ontario are flying over. That's harassment. And he is here gangsta under the fake sun, asking questions that you know the answer to, like a psychopath engaging in the perpetual sex offense, which is prison. That's the Ontario police speaking. All right, these are the ones that they pull over, and you know that I'm documenting you. So what are you implying by asking me a question, which I don't know to you while you're stalking me? 8LAU990, and they're monitoring with the Ontario police. There's no coincidences here. This is what Hernandez was doing, yes, last week. And this same department engaged in what is flying in circles, showing the world that they're mentally unstable. All right, they're diaper-wearing demons, stalking obsessively, flying in circles like unstable psychos who are indeed stalkers. This is the P.O.C. All right, you're paying attention to how the fake sun is progressing through the parking lot and was remaining over me while you listen to the audible activity of a maniacal psychopath that's engaged in and is invested and knowledgeable about the details pertaining to my vagina, and then asking me questions as to why I'm documenting you stalking me and perpetually and sexually violating me. That's also combined with the entity stalking by helicopter. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. It is currently 4:21 p.m. All right, the current time is 4:47 p.m. This is the stalking conduct that the Ontario Police Department engaged in at the same address under the fake sun. They did so during the 7 a.m. hour. that is license 4SWS577, and they are stalking on behalf of that Ontario police in furtherance of murder. An impossible light drags across that wall, which is a supernatural phenomenon. That's also a demon that's engaged in the conspiracy to murder. And this is the same parking lot where a police department is engaged in surveillance, like the people of the state. All right, these are equally unfit, equally criminal, and so are those. 4HKH319 reflects the ongoing unlawful conduct that the Ontario Police Department, who are gang members, who are demons, who are criminals, they're stalkers engaging in that pattern of conduct. And here during the 7 a.m. hour, in this very parking lot, as I came across what is a scene of terrorism, these twin demons in two vehicles, like I've documented at nightfall with engineer light. It's equally impossible light activity as you see. What it is that I've been documenting from the outset. The fake sun is here. Just hold on a second. Let me come back 9 hours later and show you how the fake sun is still here. And they are stalking. The entities engaging in that on behalf of the police, who are obsessed stalkers. This is why the people of the state jump headfirst into federal cases. 9VDZ166. And they're stalking with impossible light that's ricocheting. That is crossing paths as demons. While they're engaging in demonic activity, their demonic activity is going to have them committed, and it's going to have them put in federal prison for domestic terrorism in the United States. The U.S. government is engaged in what is practicing witchcraft to psychologically torture and harass and criminally defame American citizens. And in this parking lot during the 7 a.m. hour, Hadel Shiapani, who pulls up here, this is gang stalking conspicuously with the intent to threaten. Remember, she's engaged in the June 16, 2022 kidnapping. That's legally relevant, and it's also psychologically relevant regarding the ongoing experience of an American citizen who's being stalked by the police that are practicing a malicious system proven through what is the fake sun at this same parking lot. Where the demons are stalking in the path like the population is, that department is a part of that population of demons who are engaging in surveillance, stalking as a gang, an elaborate gang. All the streets, crossing paths all around me, keeping focus, tracking my steps. And they're doing that during the 7 a.m., 8 a.m. hour while I'm right here. This is speaking to the gang members that surrounded me. They had guns on their waists. They had badges on their chests. They had vehicles issued by the city regarding what is their exercise of fictitious authority. It does not exist. While I'm proving what is this pattern of conduct, that agency is being stripped of authority, and they're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. And there is no police association that has any standing, and there is nothing regarding the actual law that exists that the Ontario Police Department have any authority under. They're going to be prosecuted as the malicious terrorists that they are, that the P.O.C. is required in order to unveil and remove the illusion and show you the stalkers that they are, the murderers and the kidnappers and the liars that they are. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in terrorism, and the people of the state are doing the exact same thing. This is psychopathic pacing. Your ability to recognize their mental illness is based on the knowledge of what they're doing. The demons think that you don't know what they're doing. You're not paying attention to where they're doing it and how they're doing it. And you are. And then you are looking at what is no longer an illusion regarding normalcy, regarding a law-abiding society, a healthy people. These are roaming psychopaths that are free. It's mental illness that's unchecked, undiagnosed. It's roaming around in the streets. And this is lawlessness that's underway in Ontario. It is currently 4:51 p.m. That video is going to be, with regard to the cinematic prosecution, set side by side. There's more than just these two videos, but it's going to be side by side. And every single last one of them that called my name out, by the way, their basis of knowledge is because they're monitoring. That's the basis of knowledge. This is P.O.C. They're going to prison. It's 4:51 p.m.
It is currently 5:59 p.m. This is documentation of the Ontario Police stalking me, following from the Superior Grocer under the fake sun, where the Ontario Police are harassing me via the people of the state as I document the government stalking me as a police department to the OVITT Family Community Library, which is where I'm located right now, where the fake sun remains at what is 5:59 p.m. This is P.O.C. And Leo with Securitas is gang stalking as well with the same Ontario Police Department. He is going to prison. It's currently 6 p.m.
6:02 p.m. The entity is engaging in what is, remember, surveillance of the documentation. So they sit back, they stalk, they sit back and watch. They listen to my documentation, watch me document, and then they recommit the ongoing criminal pattern of conduct. This is relevant to committing the stalkers of the Ontario Police, including Mike LORENZ. This is the entity that's engaging in what is criminal activity, which is going to prosecute the mayor, prosecute every terrorist leader over the airport, the fire department, the police department, the people of the state engaging in criminal summoning cooperatively acting with the City of Ontario. This is what is relevant regarding the entity stalking again with helicopter, conspicuously with regard to audible noise of the helicopter in the engineered light under the remaining fake sun, which has been here, as I've documented, the City of Ontario at 9:32 a.m. It's currently 6:02 p.m. Excuse me, 9:32 a.m. It's currently 6:02 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is the same Stater Brothers where the Ontario Fire Department and the airport that's always stalking, targeting at the same shopping village. This is the irrelevance of the entity that they're being disbanded and they're going to be committed with this evidence. This is an entity that's suicidal. But I want to go ahead and get it on video. This is the entity that's literally begging me to pay attention to them while they're supposed to be stalking me. The people of the state are going to prison. I've documented hundreds of them, and every single last one of them are catching charges for what is ongoing documentation, no matter what date that I documented you. This is the P.O.C. This is the mentally ill. This is why martial law is absolutely necessary. This demon is engaged in psychotic behavior. This is a demon. And this is a demon that's engaging in what is having a field day as soon as I put my camera on, okay? This is an entity that is desperate to do whatever it is that they think that they can get away with. They are waiting to be raided. I mean the Ontario Police Department at 2500 South Archibald is going to be raided, okay? The entity that engaged in kidnapping, the first demon, Jonathan Burnett, and they are all going to federal prison, every single last one of them. This is what Jonathan Burnett was doing. He was stalking. He's going to federal prison. This is a suicidal psychopath who is stalking because they don't know what else to do when they're scared. And because they don't know that stalking is not the solution, they are being disbanded, going to prison, and they will never have anything to do with law enforcement. Neither will anyone that has any connection to them. That's how serious this terrorism is. This is speaking to Frank that's inside of Stater Brothers. They're inside of Stater Brothers gang stalking. I made a purchase. They're gang stalking right now. They're doing so while the fake sun stayed in Ontario. It was not over the Up and Public Library. You know where it's going to be tomorrow? It's going to be where I'm documenting the pattern of conduct. Everyone that I encounter, everything that I document, everywhere I'm at, this is the entity that's being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. All right? I just want to be clear. This is the entity that is stabbing my feet with needles. They're going to prison for that. The demons that are being documented by license plate. While they're stating my name as a department, while they're stalking under a fake sun that's at the same address at 7 and at 4 o'clock in the evening. Those gang members are all going to prison. Every single last one of them. And this is the entity that is stalking as an airport. The airport's being shut down. The fire department's being removed. The Ontario Police Department are being disbanded. And Paul Leon is being federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. This does not help them, but these are demons who are suicidal. They're not trying to help themselves. It's already over. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:02 p.m. This is the mentally ill behavior, psychopathic pacing. P.O.C. All right, the video you just listened to, remember the bigger picture. The Ontario Police are stalking on video at the Superior Grocer. They're stalking again while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. And these are the suicidal demons that are now following me to another place. This, like I said, there's no controversy here regarding stalking. What type of mind is stalking me? That's what you are paying attention to. And you are dissecting the personality disorders of every psychopath that's engaging in stalking as a police department. They're going to be committed and they're going to prison. The evidence shows the department stalking, and I'm documenting it. No one has forgotten but the ones that are wearing diapers stalking me in helicopters. Superior Grocer under the fake sun. OVITT Family Community Library under the fake sun. Following me to what is the Ontario Shopping Village. and did so on video. I just caught elaborate video of them flying in circles, the psychopathic pacing. And you're already known to be a psychopath on its surface because you're stalking, and you're stalking in a helicopter. And you're doing so with the population who are equally mentally ill. These are the demon-possessed. The demon-possessed, in case you haven't gathered that, when they are caught as demons, which Satan is very hostile to, when they are caught engaging in wrong, which they have some delusional sense of self regarding their ego and that they can't get caught or whatever lies that Satan has been telling them, they engage in more of that violence. They're doing so when I am dragging them in the court that is on the venue of the internet. And it's a very real court, and Mike LORENZ is going to come to respect it. Okay? He's going to federal prison behind it. That's why he's going to. This is an entity that engages in that. So don't forget about all the places where they're stalking today. Superior Grocer, OVITT Family Community Library, and following me here, providing me evidence. Okay? It doesn't get any more foolish than the people of the state. 7NBS 38390. Stalking with that department. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:04 p.m. All right, 11:32 p.m. This is documentation regarding the Ontario Police Department, who are engaging what is stalking by helicopter in a conspicuous manner, and doing so at the same time that the people of the state. This is Stater Brothers. That is gang stalking. Stater Brothers is gang stalking while I'm documenting the act of terrorism of stalking by a police department at the facilitating venue of the Stater Brothers inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center. But I want to document Ricky. Ricky is the, I believe, a Latino male. He's got tattoos all over his forearms. He is an employee at the Stater Brothers. He drives a white Camry. And he is walking out at approximately 11:32 p.m. He does so on surveillance cameras, and he does so while the Ontario police fly over my head. This is the basis of federal prison for Ricky, who was gang stalking systematically as an employee at the facilitating venue and the very heavily documented terrorist and sex offender Stater Brothers at 646 West Holt Boulevard, where the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department are heavily documented gang stalking me in concert with Ricky and every employee and the venue Stater Brothers itself. I want to document that. Ricky is then engaging with a sexual assault and battery as he drives through the parking lot and molests my person, which is a federal offense while the entity is criminally monitoring. That's the government that has no warrant or probable cause to even be in your presence. In the same way, they're not engaged, they're not under the law permitted to keep you under surveillance. That is to quote unquote investigate you, follow you around, which is stalking absent any warrant or probable cause or legitimate interest under state and federal constitutions. The entity is doing so with Ricky, who is a third party who's engaging in that while employed as a third party at Stater Brothers. Okay, Ricky's engaged in terrorism with that department that you hear stalking me by helicopter, and he is indeed stalking with that agency that's stalking me at the Superior Grocer, then following me to the OVITT Family Community Library, and then following me here where Ricky is stalking. Okay, this is the P.O.C. Ricky is mentally ill. He's engaged in what is ambush conduct, engaging what is setting me up while he's acting in furtherance of murdering me with that agency that is acting in sync with him while he is walking to his vehicle crossing path in the engineer light where he works inside of a venue that's filled with engineer light. Ricky is indeed a vagina monitor. He's severely mentally ill, and that is also why he's engaged in the system of gang stalking. He is crossing path and doing so with the Ontario Police. So I want to document that. This is what the entity is doing. Ontario Police engaging in what is the very foolish provision, and a federal judge is not going to hesitate. They're already convicted. Okay, so these are suicidal terrorists and stalkers who are unfit to be in law enforcement. And now that that is not a mystery and you know it, you're looking at them be the psychopaths that they are out in plain view. Okay, so they just did a lap stalking in helicopter. All right, and then the entity engages in what is flying over again as Ricky of Stater Brothers engages in crossing path, which is criminal activity. He's engaged in surveillance. He's not engaged in any constitutionally protected activity by being at work. He works at the specific environment. He's engaged in surveillance as a third party. That's subject to federal prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 11:37 p.m. Ricky's malice is noted, and it's relevant to the prosecution of Stater Brothers as a facilitating venue as well. Alrighty, this is the third iteration of stalking me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. Ink is in relevant position. This is P.O.C. They are stalking right now with the Ontario Police. This is the entity that's stalking every night at the Ontario Town Square, at the OVITT Family Community Library, while I'm walking from the neighborhood,
And this is the entity, the police department that is openly stalking as an agency that is being documented in plain view. Alright, they're going to prison, and they will never be flying any helicopters. This is the entity that's engaging in that with the people of the state. Ricky walks out of the Stater Brothers stalking me with that agency, engaging in that concerted activity together. That's pacing on Hope Boulevard, stalking with the Ontario Police Department. Alright, that's the people of the state that I document when I go through their neighborhoods, and I will be prosecuting. The entity that's engaging what is criminal defamation, assault and battery, threats of verbal threats of harm, they're going to be federally prosecuted for everything that they've committed on behalf of this agency that is stalking. And this is the disbanding of that agency that are stalkers, not law enforcement officers at all. This is clear. They're not engaged in anything remotely related to law enforcement. It is gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:40 p.m. What I want you to pay attention to is the evidence that's going up on the internet regarding June, July of 2022. The entity is very much defecating on itself, so desperate that they are engaged in more acts of terrorism, and they are doing so in anticipation of more damning evidence regarding terrorists like the Fontana Police Department, the Chino Police Department. Under all circumstances, they're being federally prosecuted, and so are the terrorists of those organizations. Mike Lorenz's lack of any strategy is to engage in more gang stalking, more acts of more criminal activity, while they are literally aware of what it is that is ready to be published on the internet. Be mindful of that while they're engaged in the ongoing generous provision of additional evidence. They're going to federal prison under all circumstances. Pay attention to what's published. This is informing the very poor decision makers, the very poor decision that the entity is making while I am prosecuting them on the internet, proving that they've been conspiring my murder for years. This is P.O.C.
All right, serial stalker that is vocalizing a threat in the specific environment, gang stalking with the Ontario Police, is stalking in the path at 218 C Street, license 9 Paul Zebra Frank 062. This is the fat Caucasian female psychopath that I have on video following me around the block as well, stalking with the airport and stalking with the police department tonight. She's doing so while she is communicating a threat to engage in criminal summoning, and she's engaged in ongoing serial stalking at the facilitative union where she apparently resides. This is the government that's gang stalking where she resides, and the airport is stalking me where she resides while she's stalking in the path with light. And so is the Ontario Police Department. While I'm walking through the neighborhood, that is, again, the fourth iteration of stalking me from place to place. And the entity is doing so with third parties that utter the audible activity, the threat, which is an immediate basis of federal prison, that they're going to, quote, call the police. The police are stalkers. The entity has that malicious form of the pattern of conduct where gang stalkers are threatening your life and safety and your liberty in order to provide them some sort of unofficial license to engage in continuously harassing and targeting you, and then summoning the stalkers themselves. You're going to prison for that. That's that bully system, and the entity that vocalizes that threat is threatening your life, and you're going to prison. That is under all circumstances intolerable, and she is systematically gang stalking where she resides, and she's doing so at what is 12 o'clock in the morning where the airport is stalking. I took a picture of that. She's stalking in the path, headlights on, sitting outside of her home to engage in the pattern of conduct. She can say I'm having a smoke. She can say she's talking to her lover, her gay lover. She can say she's talking to her their dog at her ex-husband's house before they put him down. She's stalking in the path with light, in the environment where the government is stalking by helicopter and by the commercial planes, and her co-defendants, the people of the state, are pacing all around. This is the entity engaging in the P.O.C., and that fool had the audacity to communicate a threat referencing the very heavily documented stalkers who are literally following me after stalking at the Stater Brothers parking lot through the neighborhood. No, you do not have any. The federal court's going to go through the formalities, but you don't have any. You're already convicted. Okay, so this is the entity that's engaged in that. I'm doing my due diligence and documenting it. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This third party is engaged in that conduct. She's a psychopath. I documented her literally following me around while this is a psychopath that is stalking, and then they are more and more hostile and aggressive as demons who are mentally ill, who are obsessed with me, stalking me, and as I document that, they engage in more of that. You see that personified through the stalking in planes, and the personification, what the demons are doing in helicopter, flying in circles. Why would you do that? And the entity's you're looking at damning evidence that I'm putting up from 2022. Okay, this same third party, by the way, in concert with the demon at C Street and Euclid, are molesting together while the entity is touching with impossible light, like what you see at the 10 freeway. While you hear the planes stalking in the background, there are no planes that are scheduled at this hour that are going to be flying, period. And also that are going to hover over, well, through the city of Ontario altogether, but also hover over C Street and Euclid, where the city of Ontario is stalking with light. Okay, that's the entity that's gang stalking with the people of the state that are on the roads and the highways. Okay, these are the cowards that would step on the gas as soon as they see me coming because they don't want to document, but they want to be vagina monitors at the same time. The demons that are hostile and threaten to call the stalkers themselves the Ontario non-police, that's why they're going to prison. Okay, and this is the P.O.C. This is the entity that is indeed going to federal prison, and this is the entity that's engaging in this at 12 o'clock at night. The Ontario police are not a police department. They're engaged in abuse of a woman together. These are cowards. They're not men and women. They're demons. They're engaged in what is abuse by demons wearing these police uniforms to get away with, facilitate, and enable others to participate in that gang abuse. They're doing so in furtherance of murder that those demons intend and have conspired to commit. This is relevant to the entity stalking me through the neighborhood, especially as I document and I will continue to document these demons' co-defendants who are the people of the state, particularly this demon at 218 C Street, right across the street, if you will, on the opposite side of Euclid Avenue, where this demon is routinely engaging in what is stalking at your home, which is exactly what gang stalking consists of. You will be prosecuted where you live, where you work, where as you travel, where that I've shown you the fake sun remains over me. They're stalking in a manner that they thought no one else would ever be able to see, nor prove, because the entity engages in what is discarding American citizens to defame their character and get away with tormenting them. And that's not happening here. And because you have conspired to do so, you are going to prison, you are going to be committed, and you're also going to pay me. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in this P.O.C, and that's the Ontario International Airport that is stalking. As you hear the plane activity, that's the evidence of stalking. Okay, this is P.O.C. I cover myself. Everything that I just described is proven in the Google Drive with what is the presence of the entity stalking by helicopter. I'm at 417 C Street, where the helicopter is not coincidentally but pursuant to a pattern of stalking me while I'm documenting what they know, because that's not a coincidence. License plates of the people of the state who are being federally prosecuted. This is 417 C Street, and the entity that's tracking my steps, stalking by being in relevant position outside of the facilitating video where you reside, monitoring me through the neighborhood. And that same third party, by the way, is also stalking me at 417 C Street. It's on video. Okay, so she's engaged in stalking me where she lives. She's engaged in stalking me at 417 C Street with that same department as well. That's on video as well. She's going to prison, and she's going to prison while the airport is stalking me, communicating a threat. They like to engage in that with these cursed wombs, with these old fat Caucasian women who are hateful of me. They want to be me, however. They want to get into my chocolate brown skin. They want my form. They want my abilities. They want my identity. They want my gifts. They want my position. But they're stalking and they're also hostile at the same time. And these are the demons, which you'll see in my documentation, that are participating when the government calls itself engaging in some sort of mastermind ambush. None of it is mastermind at all. I break it down, I document it, and you're looking at what is a pattern. The entity is engaging in what is psychological torture and harassment. And because these cursed wombs want to engage in what is stalking in that manner, they're going to be committed. You're mentally ill. Allied Universal gang stalking, license plate 9 Larry Victor Robert 315. They're stalking in the path with light, equally impossible light activity while they're driving at the C Street turn circle, which is not going to touch me while I'm on the property of the Ontario Town Square. They're stalking me close up where I can read their license plate. Okay, this is what they're doing while I'm at the square, and they are targeting with the entity that's stalking by planes and helicopters. Allied Universal are full of demons that are gang stalking. Okay, they're engaging in the same conduct. But this is what, back to what I was stating though, this is what an entity does when they are stalking with so-called hostile demons. You hate me and you're stalking, you're definitely engaged in the conspiracy to murder, but you really want to be me. You want to be in this almond brown skin, and that's the reality. And you're mad at yourself and you're angry because that's the reality, and you're more so angry because I know it. All right, this is an entity that is triggered by the sound of my voice. All right, and the skill with which I prosecute them and read them for filth. And that's just the truth. They're demons and they're worshiping me, stalking me in the Stater Brothers parking lot, at the back of the parking lot, so you can be in on the airport stalking me with the fire department. All right, because you're angry because I call you what you are. You've got a cursed womb.
right? Nothing's coming out of there, and nothing other than a demon would be coming out of there. Period. You're cursed. You're a demon. And that's why you're stalking me and you don't know me. You don't know why you're compelled to do so. It's because you're demon possessed. Okay? The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct with those that are hostile to me, and that's the same demon that is operating through another person. What is 218 C Street, stalking with the Ontario International Airport. The entity is targeting with those that are hostile, that harass me, that target. This is an entity that's engaging in that, but I'm speaking to the pattern of conduct. For example, gang stalking by rider. Okay, these are psychopaths. Ooh, you don't like the target individual? Okay, we're going to gang stalk with that company. We're going to gang stalk with that person. We're going to gang stalk by this officer. We're going to gang stalk at this location. Okay, those are the tactics of losers that are monitoring my vagina. All right, and they do so with regard to what's going to, under the law, be prosecuted as psychological torture and ongoing harassment with the intent to obstruct justice. And this is harassment as an entity. This is harassment never before contemplated under federal law. This is going to be very expensive harassment in civil court, and it's going to be harassment that's going to cost federal time in prison. No ordinary harassment. All right, it's currently 12:16 a.m. This is the entity engaged in this conduct, just like I stated, providing me an ongoing wealth of evidence. What sort of police department, okay, sane people, what sort of sane people would provide this evidence of clear targeting? I've been stating this hypothetical for years. Mike LORENZ has never been sane. None of them. You're seeing them gang stalking me at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library by AMR, American Medical Response, and the Ontario Fire Department. So they turn on their lights and sirens, and that's supposed to make it official. Everybody drop everything about the fake sun. Forget about that, because the demons are wearing uniforms, dressed up like it's Halloween every day of the year, as though they're actually paramedic. No, they're engaged in surveillance, and the facts are not changing because Satan dresses up as an EMT. In fact, you're paying attention even more closely because that is a threat to Americans, while Satan is dressing up as an EMT, threatening the lives of American citizens, taking their lives when they're in the back of those emergency vehicles and you don't actually know what happened to that person. You're taking the word of a demon that's gang stalking and not telling you that. That's keeping you under surveillance and not telling you that. That's maliciously targeting while trying to double as one that's concerned with the well-being of another person. That other person is gang stalking in an unthinkable manner. Another person. That's a whole crime scene. It's a whole malicious act together. That's what cannot be trusted in those positions. You are paying attention more closely. Nobody looks innocent under those circumstances. Pay attention to the psychopaths, because they are literally forgetful, and they think that you forgot about the impossible light activity, about the stalking by the helicopter, about the stalking at a whole other location with these same departments, and you saw that that was clear P.O.C. and this is supposed to be legitimate here. They're not intelligent. They're so unintelligent. It is disturbing that they are in these positions. I am here to make sure that they will not. They're not staying in these positions. Okay, you are witnessing the formal process of that undoing. Okay. But this is the entity that's engaging in this conduct and at OVITT Family Community Library, where you're gang stalking. The entity's engaging in, that was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. What, pray tell, is L. Edwards doing at 9:45 in the morning at the same location? Criminal summoning with a police vehicle and its lights on, and he's supposed to be legitimate. That's supposed to be, no, it's not, psycho. You're stalking. That's how the police, the fire, and the ambulance are stalking. And they're gang stalking to further into murder. And they are absurdly psychotic while they engage in that. And that's Satan. And everybody's prosecuted by the agency stalking by planes and helicopters. That tells on everyone. It tells on everyone. They don't know that because they're unintelligent. It's not their role to have an aerial view regarding what they're doing and an analytical breakdown regarding the regarding the tactics that they implement, which are not really tactics. I'm just breaking down. This is what they're thinking. It's not complex. It's not intelligent. It's not even logical or reasonable. And it's also something that they cannot even rationalize, because they're not doing it out of any place of intellect. They're doing it out of impulse. They're demons. They're monitoring spirits. So intellectualizing demonic behavior is something that Satan himself cannot contend with. He doesn't have any other strategy. When I tell you what Satan is doing, you're going to watch Satan do the exact same thing. There's no variation, because that's what Satan is doing. That's the only plan. There was never a plan B. So you're watching them prosecute themselves. And I'm just recording it for everyone to witness.
Okay, the entities engaging in this, and the Ontario Police Department are indeed following me from the Stater Brothers parking lot. And doing so, I capped, and my proof is that I have the helicopter activity, which, how do I know? Because they're stalking with audible noise of that helicopter, and they're doing that in an environment that is entirely supernatural. Everything seen, everything present, everything heard is deliberate, and it's a means of targeting. You are communicating a threat, and you want me to know that you're there. And that's fine, because I documented it, because I'm going to prosecute you. I'm going to prosecute you for it. And the ones that are stalking right there at 417 C Street and at 218 C Street, that demon is stalking in the path where she resides. Very easy for the feds know exactly where she's at to be picked up. And that's the benefits, that's the ease, the convenience of the federal government to prosecute. And that's the flip side of the convenience of the people of the state to gang stalk where they live. Okay, the feds know exactly where you're at. Thank you. All right, this is P.O.C. This is the entity engaging in that these demons are going to a federal prison. So this is that pattern of conduct, and this is all evidence that is supporting what it is that I've stated. When I'm stating federal prison, I'm not just throwing it out willy-nilly because it sounds good, it sounds cute. Ooh, that sounds like that's some boss. No, that's not what I'm doing. This is terrorism. This is no ordinary criminal activity, and this is no ordinary stalker. This is Satan, Satan that's using a population, and Satan is going to learn a very personal and public lesson. Satan is going to be put away in facilities. Satan is going to be made an example of. And Satan is going to be humiliated. Satan is going to be driven into poverty. Satan is going to be publicly shamed. Satan is going to be put in a position where everyone knows that they are entirely untrustworthy, and everyone's going to know what Satan did and why what happened to Satan happened. And everyone's going to know who Satan is using. Everyone. With terrorism comes federal prison. With terrorism comes a criminal record that you shall not expunge off of your record. Okay, this is what an entity is engaging in. While they are doing so, this case is complete. I'm prosecuting terrorists like Paul Leon. He's going to be federally prosecuted for all of the terrorism that I'm suffering in the city of Ontario. Every level of operation in this city, and I want to be clear, every means of facilitating the city to maintain surveillance, all the money spent, all the money provided to spend, those expenditures, every department that's utilizing what it is that they do. But that's not the concern. The central concern is surveillance. And while the city of Ontario is engaging in and funding surveillance, they engage in the incidental provision of services, the provision of products and resources, whatever it else that the city is supposed to be engaging in on its surface. It's public corruption in plain sight. The city of Ontario is engaged in surveillance, and Paul Leon, who holds a position, he holds a very specific position, and that position speaks to what is liability. Because that position is you're some sort of chief of surveillance, and if this is the case, it's not if it's the case, I've proven that it is the case, you are a terrorist leader by definition, and terrorists, foreign and domestic, are going to be treated identically. I'm federally prosecuting him for gang violence. The Ontario police are stalking me throughout the city. The mayor is going to be liable for it. Okay? And the immediate nexus is the mayor's position and the mayor's knowledge. The mayor is absolutely aware of the terrorism of that department, especially when I'm at the Ontario City Hall subject to that terrorism. Especially when that crime scene is present. It is the very City Hall. You are actually and reasonably on notice. You will be held under the law as aware of that which you have a responsibility to make sure is not ongoing, that is not occurring, that is not capable of occurring on your watch. However you want to face it. You can claim you're ignorant. It doesn't matter. You're being prosecuted the same. All right, but you might as well be truthful because everyone knows that you're a demon. Everyone knows that you're demon possessed. This is the prosecution of the demon possessed. It's currently 12:24 a.m. This is the entity that is obsessed with me, that is indeed worshiping me, that is indeed stalking me. All right, the entity does not go to sleep. The entity is stalking me and monitoring, obsessing over me as I sleep. Okay, that's why you'll pay attention to what are the surveillance on the roads and the highways.
at hours like this, it's like little to no traffic. But the reason why is because the entity is policing me. And they're also very much fearful of me going around and documenting them in the neighborhood, which I'm going to do. I'll do it while you watch me. You wanted that. You wanted to watch so bad, Satan. Now you're watching your own public demise. You're watching me prosecute you, and you're going to watch it. Like a semi-truck coming for you, and you can do nothing about it. You're going to watch it. You're going to watch your own destruction. Since you wanted to watch so bad. And everyone else is going to watch you watch your own ruin. That's what you've reaped. It's currently 12:25 a.m. This is P.O.C.